إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفر ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. All praise belongs to Allah. We praise Him. We seek His forgiveness and His guidance. We seek refuge in Allah from the evils of our own deeds. And we seek refuge in Allah from the evil effects of our egos and our actions. Anyone whom Allah guides, that no one can lead him astray. And anyone whom Allah leaves astray, that none can guide him. And I bear witness that there is nothing worthy of worship and no other gods except Allah, who stands alone and has no partners. And I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His slave and His messenger. Today we have the great pleasure of beginning a short lesson in Arabic. Now, Arabic different from tafsir. Tafsir is a type of lesson that anyone can listen to no matter what level you are on. Arabic, however, is what some people call a dry science. When a lot of the tulab al-ilm, the students of knowledge, when they go to study, they have to stop at two great doors before they can get into anything else. Those doors are the Arabic language and the Quran and its sciences. At those points, you usually see the weeding out of the serious student and the students who want to give fatwa in their first year or two. Is that correct, Sheikh? A lot of people, when they get to Arabic, they expect to, after a year or so, be able to do something. Arabic, I believe, after the Quran, is the most important subject. Because with Arabic, it is the salt in the speech. It is the proof of the faqih. It is used everywhere, in every science. You need the Arabic language. So, unlike tafsir, all you have to do is listen in tafsir class. Just listen and pay attention to the stories. Arabic, you have to memorize. You have to study. You have to understand concepts. And you can get lost along the way if you don't do it stair-stepped. The problem with the Arabic language is that many people have not mastered it who begin to teach it. And the second thing is that the desire from the English-speaking people hasn't been there. Sadly, I believe there has been more Western people from the West, America and Europe, learning Arabic since post 9/11 than there have been Muslims. Okay? I used to teach Arabic in Egypt. And many of the people that came over there were not Muslims. Majority were not Muslims. So it's a thing of desire. It's a shame that there are probably more eloquent speaking non-Muslims in the American diaspora post 9/11 than there are Muslims. Hopefully, inshallah, we won't be amongst them. Okay, we won't be amongst those people who don't have the Arabic language. It's very easy. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put the deen in Arabic. So for those who argue that it is not important, they need to reevaluate that idea. Allah put everything, all this, the Quran is in Arabic. Let's go first. The way I teach the science of Arabic is maybe a little bit different from what people may be accustomed to. I'm not going to teach you how to speak Arabic. It's not a class for you to say, Ana ismi Mukhlis bin Lanzo Masmuka. This is not that type of class. What I intend to give you is the science of the Arabic language, sirrul lugha, the secrets of the language, things that you've never heard before in English language, because they never have been put in English language. Things that the Orientalists have all confused, and we're going to make clarity of those things right now. And at the same time, we'll be going through a classical beginner's work in the Arabic language called Al-Ajrumiyyah, which a lot of people talk about, but very few people have devoured it. And you have to devour it and it's a children's rhyme in encompassing everything a beginner would need to know in the Arabic science. But it's so comprehensive. It's so comprehensive that usually that is enough for a beginner to get to the stage where he can go on to be a senior. Let's start our class, okay? Again, I want to pull from you guys an important point. I remember my days in Mauritania when I was studying the Arabic language. They were some of my best days of my life. 20 feet away from me, there was a sheikh and his students and his family that I can ask them any question that I ever had on the Arabic language. And with confidence, I would get an answer that was correct. There is no feeling like that whatsoever. There is no feeling, because when you have the hujjah, the proof in the lugha, then you have all the proof that you need after the Quran. So let's go and try to understand the word Arabic. We're studying Arabic language. Arabic language. That's what the subject matter here. Now, Arabic comes from the word Araba. Araba. Everybody say that. Araba. 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 Araba is a word, it has its own meaning. Araba means to make something, this STH is something, okay, crystal clear. Especially an emotion or feeling. That's what Araba does. So the word Arabiya, what does it mean? I know I'm not in the room by myself.
Crystal clear.
To make something crystal clear, especially an emotion or some type of feeling, some thought. So when Allah says Qur'anan Arabiyan, we already know what Quran means. What does Quran mean? A recital, right? What does Arabiyan mean? It doesn't mean a Arabic Quran. You just spoke in Arabic in Anglicized form. What does it mean then? A recital that makes it crystal clear, that leaves no doubt about the sentiment. And that's what the word Arabic means. It means to make something crystal clear so as to leave no doubt as to what was said, was implied, I should say. And for that reason, when you see the Muslim scholars, the people of grammar, looking at the word, what do they say? They say they're going to make i'rab of the word, using this word right here. I'rab, stemming from the word araba, to make something crystal clear. I'rab means when you look at a sentence from a grammatical point of view, and you can determine, due to the placement of the words and the changes on the end of those words, exactly what was intended. For example, when the great Khalifa Uthman ibn Affan radiyallahu anhu was murdered, Hassan or Hussein, I forget which one, went to Ali ibn Abi Talib and he was sitting down. And he said, An-nasu qad qatalu Uthmanan. He said, the fact is that the people have fought with Uthman. And Ali did not move. He said, Man qatala man? Who killed who? He wanted to understand it because he could not understand the sentence. And he said, An-nasa qatala Uthmanun. Man qatala man? Who killed who? So then finally he said, An-nasu qad qatala Uthmana, which is the correct way in Arabic. The people have killed Uthman. And then Ali got up and hit his son. Where were you? Because he had placed him in front of the house to defend Uthman. And he said the people, they came behind the house. They climbed up the wall behind the house. And that was the only reason Ali probably didn't beat him up, for not being in the right place at the right time. However, the point I want to make here is the i'rab, the changes on the words, are very important in understanding what was said. Arabic language, again, is so important, understanding these changes. The people of Tawheed, the scholars of Tawheed, have already proven that every mistake from one of these deviant groups, every deviant group first deviated in a mistake in the language. A linguistic mistake was their first mistake. Every one of these deviant groups, showing the importance of understanding the Arabic language. However, like I said, it is a science
that you need to spend time with. Afterwards, you're ready to go study the other principled sciences, stair-stepped. Those who don't pay attention in the Arabic class, they fail in usul al-fiqh. Because fiqh is fahm. Fiqh is understanding what was intended. Profound understanding. You can't have profound understanding if you don't understand the language. Is that correct? Does that make sense? So, araba means to make something crystal clear so as to leave no doubt as to what was implied, what was intended. Okay? It also is reference, it refers to a particular people known as the Arabs. Okay? Language. The scholars, when they start this lesson, they say, Lughatul Arabiya. Lugha meaning language. Languages are many. The definition of language is those sounds that are shared by all people. Everybody has sounds that come off their tongue, different from the animals who come out their throat. The sounds that people throw off their tongues, they share the sounds, but the meanings are different. Okay? For example, in Wolof, which is a Senegalese language, you say wow. Everybody say that. Wow. Wow. What does wow mean in English? Surprise. It's isti'jab. You're amazed at something. Right? Surprise or amazement. But wow in the Wolof tongue means yes. It's pronounced the exact same way, but the meaning differs because of the people. Languages are many, and they all have the same purpose. The purpose is to express the needs of the people, agradun nas, what the people desire, what they need to express from themselves from a linguistic perspective, a verbal perspective, and that's what we're talking about here. Then this is called language. We are not speaking about what other people speak when they say language, which means anything anybody does, like hand movement or reading materials alone. We're talking about what someone says. This is language, what we're talking about. Now, when we talk about the Arabic language, we're talking about the language particular to the Arabs. These Arabs are a particular people, ma'ruf, well known for who they are, who speak this particular language. Okay? The meaning of the word Araba, we went over before. Now, what I'm going to say now is a very important principle that you have to remember for the rest of the time that you are studying the Arabic language. It will clear up any confusion you find as you go along. And that principle is, how did we get the Arabic language? We got the Arabic language, hafizatha. The people that have preserved it is the Quran and the Hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. These are the first two proofs in the Arabic language. What I say? And the authentic Hadith, I should clarify, the authentic Hadith are the first two proofs for the Arabic language, and those are the first two things that have preserved the Arabic language. The next thing that has preserved it is the shi'r, the poetry of the Jahiliyyah, of the time before the Quran came. And the thiqatul Arab, the what do you call it, thiqatul Arab? The educated amongst the Arabs. You know, the writers and those people who do the Diwan. So we say the Quran, authentic Hadith, and then poetry prior to Islam. Let's talk about this for a second. And then we're going to say, then the educated writers amongst the Arabs. In this order. The first proof is the Quran. Okay? Now we call this naqlan. We call this naqlan. Say it, guys. Naqlan. Meaning we got this passed down. I'm going to translate this passed down. Aban and Jed. From father to son. Okay? It's come down, passed down. So, reason why I'm saying this before I go into this, to explain this principle, when someone says to you, how come you say it like that? How come you pronounce this word like this, or you make this sentence like this? We say, we don't get into no great argument that some people do in later terms. Well, this happened, and so they chop this word off. No. هَكَذَا سُمِيَ الْعَرَبِ. This is how we heard the Arabs speaking, and we got it passed down from them, and so we imitate it that way. We don't say, okay, as some people get into argument, why do we say Amrun? We say Amrun with a wow, and we say Umar like this. Why do we put this wow here? Why is it? And then they say, well, they put it here because they wanted to distinguish Amrun from Umar when they wrote. No, we don't say that. We don't get into that argument. Because the Arabs did not gather together in some plain someplace and say, you know what? When we write Amrun, it confuses us when we write Umar, so why don't we just put a wow? They didn't do that. هَكَذَا سُمِعَ الْعَرَبِ. This is how we found the Arabs speaking, and this is why we follow it. Ibn Anjad, it's been passed down to us. The Quran has preserved it. The Hadith has preserved it. And then the poetry prior to Islam. Why poetry prior to Islam? Poetry prior to Islam is because the Arabs, prior to Islam, the best thing they had was their poetry. And they used to take this poetry, and they used to, every year someone would stand, Suqul Aqaz, the people would stand up there and they would recite their best poetry. Whoever came with the best poetry, it's like the hip hop guys back in the days, I'm not talking about these guys now, they would take their poetry and they would put it on the Kaaba. This is what they say. They said, put it on the Kaaba. And they used to call these mu'allaqat. These are the hanging things that they used to put on the Kaaba. And whoever came with a better poem, they would take that one down and put it up. Okay? And their language was everything. Even now, when you listen to Arabs talking, they really love language. They really listen to what you have to say, and they play with the words, Cousins of Jews, sadly. So 7 poems stayed up. 7 of them. And they never got pulled off until Islam came. These are called mu'allaqat al-sab'i, the 7 hanging poems. Okay? And these are classics in Arabic. The language is very rich. And how they understood the words then, that's how we understand what the Quran was sent down, meaning on the understanding they had. There was no new understanding brought to the words. And so in the course of your study here, you will study one of the mu'allaqat, one of them, and to have it translated and given to you so that you can understand the style of it, to become an expert. We're not going to teach you Arabic. We're going to make you a master of Arabic if you do the work. Okay? Because an Arab does not consider you an Arab speaker until you've memorized some poetry. And some of the poetry is wasteful. So what we do is the beneficial poetry, the thing that's going to help you understand the Quran. Another point is Ibn Abbas, who was tarjum of the Quran, the one who used to interpret the Quran. He used to say, I didn't know the meaning of this until I listened to this poetry. And that helped me learn the meaning of this, that, the, and other thing. So, the educated writers amongst the Arabs, these are the people who are later writers who preserved it and wrote the things like we have Ibn Malik, who wrote the Alfiyat ibn Malik, which is 1,000 lines of Arabic rules. These people preserved the Arabic language in that form. Ibn Hisham, Fayruz Zubadi, who wrote the great dictionary. Different people like that. Ibn Mundhir, Sibawayh. These people are the ones who preserved the language. And it's interesting to note that the people who preserved the language are not actually Arabs. Besides Ibn Hisham, you don't have one that's an Arab that have preserved the language in written form when we say the educated, when we talk about the educated writers amongst the Arabs. Okay? That's just an interesting point right there for anyone who thinks that this is something belonging to the Arabs and you don't have a piece on it. No, it's like they say, وَلَيْسَ بَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَ تَرْكِهِ إِلَّا رِيَاضَةٌ امْرِئٍ بِفَكِّهِ. There's nothing between doing it and not doing it except the man playing with his jaw. That's the only thing preventing you. The Arabic language is such a language that the Arabs don't even possess it. Anyone can possess it if they work on it. Look at Sheikh al-Albani. He's Albanian, meaning albino. And he was one of the greatest Arab scholars of the time, of this time. Right here, rahimahullah. And he wasn't Arab. Okay? So, the greatest dictionary, Lisan al-Arab, was written by a Sudanese, black guy, African. And that's the greatest, largest, most comprehensive dictionary on the Arabic language. Sibawayh was considered the most foremost grammarian in Arab history. And he was Persian. Okay? So, don't think that you are prevented from the Arabic language. Okay? Wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Do I have any questions at this time? If I have no questions, then listen to the next point. Can I get somebody to get this board for me? The next point is the Arabic language has 13 sciences. How many sciences does it have? 13. How many sciences does the Arabic language have? 13. How many sciences does it have? 13. So no one can say they don't know. How many sciences does the Arabic language have? 13. Okay, the Arabic language has 13 sciences. The most important of them is arguable. However, the scholars don't argue about which two should hold that place. One is called nahwu. Everybody say nahwu. And the other one is called sarf. Nahwu was sarf. I'm going to define this. Nahwu means grammar. Okay? Grammar. And the sarf means etymology. We're going to talk about this just briefly, because these are the places we're going to start with. Next, before I forget, before the time runs out, how we're going to break down the Arabic language. The Arabic language here is going to be broken down into 3 forms, because there's only 3 words in Arabic. In any language, actually, there's only 3 types of words. There is what I'm going to call a harf. Everybody say harf. That is a letter. Literally, it means a tarf, the end of something right there. But we're going to call it a letter. Okay? The second type of word in Arabic is called a fi'lun. Everybody say fi'lun. That is an action word, what we call a verb. It corresponds directly with an action word. And the third type is called an ismun. Everybody say ismun. I'm going to call this a supernoun. Okay? Because it's not a noun, as some people erroneously think it is. It's a person, place, thing, and adjective, and description. So, different from the English noun, person, place, a thing, it's a supernoun. It includes a description of anything. So that's what a ismun is. And a fi'lun totally corresponds to that. And a harfun is what I'm going to call it's a letter, but it's also a connector, the connector words. Okay? And I'll give you the definition of each one of these after we go over here. Nahwu wa sarf. The word nahwu, everybody say nahwu. Nahwu, it means a lot of things. First of all, it means mithlu. It means like, similar to. That's its literal meaning. How it came about, there's a story. Learn this story. Abu al-Aswad al-Dawali. This is in the time of the Khalifa Ali ibn Abi Talib. Okay? Radiyallahu anhu. He was the Khalifa, and Abu al-Aswad al-Dawali, he was one of his companions. His daughter came to him, and he said to him, her daughter said, hey, oh father, which one of these stars is the brightest, is the best one? So the father said Cyrus is the best one. But what she said in Arabic, what she intended to say in Arabic is, how beautiful is those stars, is that star? The Arabic is changed. If you say, ma akbaru, ma ahsanu najm, right? That says, which one of them is the best looking, which one is beautiful. If you say, ma ahsana an-najm, that means how beautiful it is, what beauty that star is. When she made that mistake, because he told her, Cyrus, he said, no, I didn't mean that. I meant that it was so beautiful. He got afraid. Look, he said, get afraid. Look at my daughter. She's an Arab and she's making mistakes in the Arabic language. And here we are in this time and era. Why is this happening? Because of mixing of non-Arab peoples in these different cities and everything. Just like when you bring your children here, they start losing their tongue. They start losing their minds and everything like that, because they're mixing with another culture that is totally opposite to the one that you've already raised them in. And you have to take great efforts to preserve their Islam in this country. Right? So, alhamdulillah, So the same thing he did. Look what his concern. With his concern, he went to the Khalifa. He didn't think this a light thing. His daughter made a mistake in the Arabic language. The Sahaba used to beat their children if they made a mistake in Nahwu. They called it lahan. They made mistake linguistically. They used to punish them and punish them with giving them a hit. That's how important the Arabic language was to them. And back in those days, they wouldn't feed, some of the people wouldn't feed their children unless they could come up with a line of poetry before they ate. Okay? This was making their minds, utilize their minds and everything like that. But we feed these children and they walk around like crazy. You know? But remember, the purpose for education and raising a child is to enable the child to get along without the parent. Not to make the parent a slave to the child. Okay? But that's a second point, a separate point I should say. So he took his concern to the Khalifa, and the Khalifa said, wow, you know, subhanallah, I shouldn't say wow. This is a very serious thing. What we need to do is we need to preserve the Arabic language. So he said, write a word, an Arabic language is broken down to an ismun, a fi'lun, a harfun, and an ismun has this, and he started to talk about this. He said, write nahwu dhalik. He said, write something similar to that. Okay? But he used the word nahwu, which means similar to or something like that. And so the science became known as nahwu. That's where the word came from. What it means is grammar. What does it mean? Grammar. As a terminology, it means grammar. Literally, it means similar to or like something. As a terminology, it means what? Grammar. Let me hear louder. Grammar. Grammar in Arabic is the science through which we can recognize and understand the changes that a word has and it goes through due to the placement it has in its sentence and due to the changes that happen at the end of the word. So we understand through the placement of its sentence and the change on the end of the word what that word is doing. After indirajiha fi jumla, after placing it in a sentence. So what is grammar again? It is the science through which we can understand and learn the changes that a word goes through based on the placement of in a sentence and the changes at the end of the word. Okay? Each time you place a sentence differently, that word now means something differently. Okay? That's grammar. Based on the changes of the word. Now I will explain something to you as we get into it. But I just want you to understand that as a general meaning of what grammar is according to the Arab grammarians. Okay? Second, etymology or sarf. The word is sarf. Everybody say sarf. Sarf. The word sarf has they transliterate this as a S, as a big S. The sound of this word is like if you say the word saw. Say the word saw. Saw. Like a saw, this one right here that we write. This is a saw, right? My archery is not too good. This is a saw, right? Everybody see that? Say saw. Saw. That's the sound of this saw. Okay? It's called saw. We do make that sound. So don't think about the S like this. Think about this saw. And say, so it's a round mouth where everybody put their mouth like this. There are two openings in your mouth in speaking Arabic. Like this, we call it ithbaq. Go like this. And if maftur or fath, and that's opening like a doorway. Say ah. Now say saw. Ah. Now say sa. You see you open your mouth up and down like a doorway? This right here is seen. This right here is saw. Say saw. Now say sa. That's the difference. Okay? You shouldn't get them confused. Now, this is called sarf. So your mouth should turn round when you say sarf. Sarf means to give change, to break something down. Literally, it means to give change. If you have $1 and that sarf, you have change, and to break it down. As a terminology, it is the science through which we understand the shape and the change, the declination of a word before entering it into a sentence. The meaning of a word in and of itself before we enter it into a sentence. I'll say again, there are 36 shapes of Arabic verbs. How many shapes? 36. We'll go over that again. But there are 36 shapes. Each shape has its own individual meaning. There are no more other shapes that you need to learn when you're dealing with the verbs in Arabic language. Just 36. And we don't use all 36 most of the time. We use about maybe not even half of those. The others are used strange, not too often. Okay? You know, the average person only uses 200 words. So we're not going to use all those different, but you need to become familiar with them all and learn the ones that when you see them. Just like if you're speaking the English language, you don't know every word. You don't think about every word, but when you hear a word, you understand what it means. Just like if we say the word etymology, we see ology over here. What does ology mean? For those people who've been to college, what does ology mean? The study of, right? We don't need to know what etym means, but we know ology means the study of. Likewise, in Arabic, we have something similar. When we see the word ik at the end of a word, what does that mean? Like Islamic. It means like Islam. Okay? Right? That's something that, give me some, comical. Okay? Those types of things we put on the end of the words. These shapes, each one of them have its own meaning no matter what you put the word through. Likewise, Arabic has the same thing. And so in the study of sarf, you learn the shell of the word, because Arabic has two things. Erase the board for me so I can get this down. Has two things. It has the meaning of the word as a shape, right? And then it has the root meaning of a word. Two things. What does it have? The shell. Well, we might call it a car. If you see this type of car or this type of vehicle, you know this is a four-door sedan, right? But if you see this type of vehicle, you know that it's a what? A minivan, right? Or a bus if you change it up, certain type of thing. And each one of these has its own style, what it does. Now, there's the root word. The root word has, like I say, a three-letter root. 1, 2, 3. And this 1, 2, 3 has its own meaning. Okay? This shape has its own meaning. When you put them together, you get another meaning. You get another shade of meaning that is particular only to this word when it's in this shape. Do you understand? But you can take this meaning and put it in this shape, and that changes the shade of the meaning. It will not be the same one. Just for example, what are we? What? We are Muslims. We are Muslim. Right? The mu in front of a word means what? One who possesses the quality of the rest of the root, right? So we have a munafiq, right? So mu in front of a word, whenever you have it, it means one who possesses the qualities of the rest of the word. That is the shell that we're talking about. Okay? That's the etymology of the word. But then we change the word and we say Islam. This is another change of the word. We put an alif with a kesra and an alif in the middle between the first and the second and the third radical. Now you have Islam. And what does that mean? You're Muslim, you should know what Islam means. Well, it's Islam lillahi bitta'a. It's to surrender your will to Allah through obedience, right? Wa inqiyadun lahu, and to let him turn you any way you want to be going. Okay, but just generally, we know Islam is this way. Same way we have mukhlis. Okay? One who is sincere. And then you have the word ikhlas, which is the same exact shape, which means sincerity, purity. You see, so once we learn the shape of the word, we can take that and use that anytime we see a word, even if we don't know the root. We'll be familiar with what that meaning is trying or coming out to be. Does that make sense? So like I said, there's only 36. You know some of them already. You just don't realize that you know. And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to bring all that, organize everything so that everybody can get it straight. Take the board off for me. So now we have grammar and we have etymology. Those are the main two subjects that we're going to be dealing with. Now we're going to go back over here. We said Arabic language. How much time do I have, Sheikh? What time do you have to make the 7 what? 7:20. 7:20, okay. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Now we're talking about Arabic language. Arabic language now, like I said, there's 13 different sciences, right? We're not worried about anyone except for these two. Nahwu wa sarf. We'll get to the other ones if we get these. If you understand these, you can get all the rest of them real easy. Now, we're talking about the Arabic language. I said it harf, right? Everybody say harf. Harf. It is, that's right, letters and connectors. That's what I'm calling it right here. This is my terminology, letters and connectors. Now, I'm going to define that. A letter is well known. It's alif, ba, jim, dal. These are letters, right? It's my theory that if you don't learn the letters correctly, you will never pronounce the Arabic language correct. If you're not familiar with it from the letters, from the very beginning, you will never master the Arabic language. So we have to start with the letters. Because the letters, pronouncing them correctly, is what you do in tajweed. Because هو إعطاء كل حرف حقه من صفة لها ومستحقه. Tajweed is to pronounce each letter and give it its right. من صفة لها, from its sifat, its description, ومستحقه, and those things that are right for that letter when you tie it up with another letter, like the noon, the sakina, the noon that's sitting there. If you don't know, if you can't tell me how to pronounce every letter in the alphabet, you do not know that letter. If you don't know the sifat, the descriptions of the letter, how to twist your mouth to make it, where is the makhraj, the point of articulation for each letter, then you do not know the letter. And you cannot claim that you are pronouncing it correctly if you don't know what you're doing. Does that make sense? Yes. And all we have to do is stop, take a step back, go over the letters. Take one a day. That's all. When we used to memorize Quran, we had a sheikh come to us. He was from India, actually. And we called him Sheikh Mukri. We would recite to him. We think we were going to go recite to him. Every time somebody went to him, you thought he was going to go recite to this guy. And he would stay with him for a month. And you waited for your turn. When he came back, he was really good with his recitation. When it was my turn to go, I realized what he did. Every day, he would give you one. He never let you recite. He took a letter and he wrote it on a piece of paper, alif. Okay, today, and all day today, we're just going to talk about alif. We're just going to recite alif. All day long. You say, I know I know I know oo, but he's making you do it right. The next day you do ba. And after 30 days, when you go to recite, people notice the difference. You don't tell them, because he makes you know. You don't go out there and tell nobody what happened, okay? You go back out there after 30 days and you're reciting really good and everything like that. Sheikh Mukri, all he did was gave you a letter a day, taught you how to pronounce it, where its makhraj is, and made you sit there all day back. He didn't deal with you if you didn't know how to memorize Quran, if you didn't already have memorized Quran. He didn't deal with you, but he straightened you out. You know, because you think, okay, I memorized Quran, I don't need any help now. No, you go back. Likewise, most of us have taught ourselves how to learn the Arabic alphabet. Most of us have picked it up from listening to people, and everybody's an expert. But we know that we haven't gotten the comprehensive meanings of this because we're always listening for more. What I've done here is I've put everything you need to know about the Arabic alphabet, just the letters, right there for you to have. It's makhraj, it's sifat, it's tajweed rule, even the history of the letter. So that you're not worried about someone coming and saying, okay, I get some more about this word. No, we have it all covered. So that we can do it from a hindsight position. That's the first thing that we're going to do. After that, harf is a terminology for what we call connectors. The connectors are any word that doesn't have a meaning. I should say it like this. هي كلمة دلت على معنى في غيرها ولم تقترن بالزمن. That's the technical meaning. It is a word that points to a meaning in another word, and it's not connected to a time frame. What is it? A word. A connector is a word, or any word that points to a meaning in another word and is not connected to a time frame. Come on, we got to hurry up because we got 2 more words to do. Read this to me, guys. Somebody, read it.
A word that points to a meaning in another
Word, yeah. In another word, thank you.
and is not connected to a time frame.
I'll make it clear to you guys. Under. Under is a word that points to a meaning in something else. By itself, you can't have, it doesn't give you any meaning. Under what? In, from, above, to. These are connectors though, without which you can't make a sentence sound good. I was going, you can't say anything. I was going store. It makes sense, people can understand you, but you need those connectors. They are words that point to a meaning in another word. They don't have a meaning in and of themselves. And it's not connected to a time frame. I have to move on. Are you guys paying attention? No, huh? Are you paying attention? Okay. Don't think that you're going to be able to just listen to the tape. Okay. No. Leave that there. Leave it there. Okay, leave it there. No problem. Let them keep writing. Sorry, because that's okay. Now, we're going to fi'lun, okay? After we exhaust I'm going to teach you every connector in the Arabic language. You're going to know it real easy. It's a little poem. Min ila wa an wa fi wa rubba wal ba wa ala wal kaf wal lam wa wun wa ta wa mud wa mund wa la'alla hatta. You're going to get to know them and what they all mean. And what they all mean very easily. It sounds crazy right now, but it's very easy. You take a step for step and you get all the way here. Likewise, knowledge bitta'allum. It's like takallum, the same scale. You say a letter and a word, and you come out with these sentences and all these paragraphs. Likewise, knowledge bitta'allum means that you learn one issue, then another issue, then another issue. You don't try to learn all the issues at one time, one at a time. One at a time, and by, you get all of the issues knocked out, inshallah. A fi'lun, everybody say fi'lun. Fi'lun is a word. كلمة هي كلمة دلت على معنى في نفسها وقد اقترنت بإحدى ثلاثة أزمنة. It is a word that points to a meaning in and of itself and is connected to one of three time frames. Either immediate, Walaikum salam, either past tense, or either present future. Okay? That's what we're talking about. It is a word, a fi'lun. Say fi'lun. Every time I say an Arabic word, you say it. It's a word, say a word, that points to. Come on, you guys sound like you're dead. You know, come on. That points to a meaning in and of itself, and is connected to one of three time frames. One of them is immediate, past, and then we're going to call this one present future. Because you know, as present goes, you're in the future. Okay? Okay, I'm sorry. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم. And this is where we have to stop right now. إقامة الصلاة. It's our adhan, I'm sorry. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفر ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Okay, this is lesson 2. Lesson number 2. 2 in the Arabic class. So we're going to put here dars thani. Okay? Second lesson, lesson number 2. Okay? Put it over here. The last time we left off, we had put down the 3 types of words in Arabic. Okay? I'm going to say something else. I'm going to say in every language. In every language. not just Arabic. But since we're talking about Arabic, we have it down there. And the three types of letters, three types of words are, the first one being a harf. I start off with harf because it's the easiest one. And the harf, we call it a letter, or we call it a connector. A connector. And a connector is any word, as a definition, that can be defined as having a meaning, pointing to a meaning, I should say, in something else, and not connected to a time frame. كلمة دلت على معنى في غيرها ولم تقترن بزمن. It's a word that points to a meaning in another word, in something else, and it's not connected to a time frame. And there's in this course, we're going to go through it three ways. The first one, we're going to deal with as, like I said, as a letter. Just as a regular letter. That's alif, ba, jim, dal. Okay? Just as the regular letters of the alphabet. We're going to go through those and learn certain specific things about them. The next part, we go through and learn them as letters of ziyada, or extra. Extra meanings in the letters. Letters, like I say, letters that with extra meanings. These are letters like you have a by itself. It is a question. Everybody say a. It's a question. It means any sentence that has now been changed into a question that can only be answered by yes or no. In English, we would say a, and it would mean is, am, are, did. You know those constructions? Like I said, I went to the store. So how do I change that sentence into a question? Did you go to the store? Did you go to the store? So in the Quran, we see sometimes we say ra'ayta, meaning I saw. Or I'm sorry, you saw. Ra'ayta. Everybody say ra'ayta. Now to turn that into a question, you say a ra'ayta. Say it louder. Ara'ayta. And that comes in the Quran that way. What is it?
Yes, so that should be question.
Right. So it's turned into a question. Ara'ayta alladhi yukadhibu bid-din. You see how it turned into a question? Ara'ayta. So these letters, these connecting letters, or these, not connecting letters, these letters that hold extra meanings, they're put together in a particular statement. We say sa'altumuniha or al-yawmun asituha. These are just these letters that if you put them together, you find them in front of different words. Like when we see, sometimes we say mu in front of a word. What does mu mean in front of a word?
Possesses the qualities of
What? The one who. It means the one who. So you have Muslim and munafiq and mushrik, all if you just learn the word mu. Okay, so that's the second part. Part one, or A. The second part, B, would be dealing with the letters that hold extra meanings. And the third part, C here, we would say deals with the connectors. And the connectors are those harf, those words that we defined. Those words that point to a meaning in something else, while they don't hold a meaning their own self, by their own self, but they point to a meaning in something else, and they're not connected to a time frame. Okay? With regards to that, we have words like that in English. That's why I said it's in every language. In English, name a type of word that has a meaning, that points to a meaning in something else, not holding to a meaning in and of itself. You can't derive a complete understanding by itself, but it only points to a meaning in something else, and it's not connected to time frame. Give me a word. Under, on, in, off, above, beneath. So then in Arabic we have min, ila, wa an, wa fi, wa rubba, wal ba, wa ala. So we have min, ila, wa an. All these different words like this are connecting words, which from, to, and, about, tajawwaz, these types of things. So all these three sections is all we're dealing with right this time is the harf. Okay? So the next section is the next section we're going to deal with. Can I erase this? Okay. Could you erase this for me, please? After dealing with the harf, because this is the breakdown and the construction of we're building the Arabic language. If we understand these things, you understand a whole lot. Okay? If you understood the things about the harf, then you would understand a whole lot. Take this off too. Now the second portion, leave that, that's cool. The second section is we're dealing with what we call the fi'lun. Everybody say fi'lun. Fi'lun corresponds directly with the English verb. But for all of those who don't know what a verb is an action word. What is a verb? An action word. And an action word defined, Jazakumullah khair, كلمة دلت على معنى في نفسها وقد اقترنت بإحدى ثلاثة أزمنة. So it is a word that points to a meaning. A word. That points to a meaning. In and of itself. That's right, you guys got this now. It's real easy, right? A word that points to a meaning in and of itself. It has its own meaning. And it is connected to one of three time frames. Give me an example. Give me an example.
Of an action word?
Of an action word.
Jump.
Jumps. Okay. Hold on for 1 second. Hey, Makeen. Excuse me. The battery's low. It just went off. Yeah. You said jump, right? Give me another one. Somebody else. Run. I like run better than jump. Run. That's an order, right? What time frame is it connected to? Immediate. Okay? Why is that? We learn a principle here. When we're learning the Arabic language, you're going to learn fiqh principles also. Usul al-fiqh, I should say. That an order denotes immediacy unless a condition is put there. Do you understand that? So when you have an order, anytime you find in the Quran, anytime you find in the Sunnah, an order, it denotes immediacy unless a condition is put there. Do you understand? Because you wouldn't expect the ladies or the men to order your children, go to the store and get such and such. And they just sit there. They're just sitting there. You say, hold on, didn't I tell you to do such and such? Go buy such and such from the store? I'll do it tomorrow. Would you accept that? Why not?
Because it's necessary to necessities.
Because an order denotes immediacy. Unless you said the next time you go out to the store or you go out the house, then you buy such and such and so and so. Right? So an order denotes immediacy all the time. Unless there are conditions, like I said. Sorry. So run is immediate. The second one would be ran. What is that? Past tense. Okay? And then the third one would be running, right? Which is the present / future. And the reason why we say present / future, because we're in the present tense now, and as we're staying in the present tense, we're going into the future tense. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, so these are, an action word is any word that points to a meaning in and of itself and is connected to one of three time frames. Some people say a fi'lun is something that happened. Okay? But something could happen and it not be connected to time. Okay? Because word happened in and of itself is not an action word. So here we have the three time frames. This is one of the things that we're going to deal with when we deal with the fi'lun. Deal with it as a past tense, a present tense, and the immediate. Okay? Take this off the board. Shukran. Do you need this laptop? It's in this bag. And then this way. We're still dealing with the three types of words. The third type, let me get that one of those. Thank you. The third type, does anybody remember what that one is called? An ismun. Ismun. Everybody say it. Thank you. Ismun, I called it a supernoun, right? Supernoun. Why did I call it a supernoun?
Because it's the name?
No, because in English, what is a noun? In English, a noun is what? A person, place, thank you young man, or thing, right? That's what a noun is. A supernoun is more than that. Description. Okay? So in Arabic, we can't translate ismun as a noun, as some people do. They just don't know English that well. Because it's not a noun. What do we say about the word pretty? What is that in English? That's an adjective, right? Is it a noun?
No.
In Arabic, it's a noun. In Arabic, it's an ismun. Okay? There is no other section. All those things fit under ismun. That's why we call it supernoun. Do you understand now why we call it supernoun? All the adjectives are ismun. So the Arabic ismun is much more powerful than the English noun. So if we had to name it that way, we would have to say it's supernoun. Does that make sense? Make it real simple, right?
Yes.
Okay. And an ismun is kalimatun dallat ala ma'na fi nafsiha wa lam taqtarin bizaman. It is a word, come on with me, that points to a meaning. What am I going to say next? In and of itself. And it is not connected to a time frame. Do you understand that? My last name, Bin Lamzo. It's not connected to a time frame. You know what, Makeen? I don't even know. You have to call my wife. That's not my computer. That's hers. You gotta call. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A word that points to a meaning in and of itself and is not connected to a time frame. Give me an example. We said person, place, a thing, or a description. Give me an example.
The masjid is big.
No, just one. You gave me all of them. He said masjid. Masjid is a place. It is a word that points to a meaning in and of itself. The meaning that it points to is that place we call a masjid, right? And it's not connected to past tense, present tense, or an immediate tense, right? That's one. Give me another one. Now, Isa. That's right. That's a word that points to a meaning in and of itself. That person, al-musamma, the person that we recognize as Isa. Okay? And it's not connected to a time frame, even though he's old. You know? I'm teasing. You know? So give me a third one, someone else. The ladies haven't come up with one yet. Come on, you guys are sleeping? Give me a word that points to a meaning in and of itself. New York. New York. I heard you guys. He took it from you. New York. Yes? Airplane. That's a thing. Somebody give me a description.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. These are all ismun in the Arabic language. Okay? And if we understand just those three things, those three types of words, the basis of everything we do surrounds understanding and recognizing those three words. As you'll see, we build our foundation on understanding what these words are. So from now on, now that I gave it to you in English, since this is an Arabic class, we're going to start the next part of this class, and that is we have to go through a text. Too many people these days think they're teaching, and you cannot teach without going through the classics. That way, even if someone is from one end of the earth and another person's from another end, when they study the same classics, even though their understandings might be slightly different, they study the same classic. And their understandings may only be slightly different. So you'll study the same classics that the ulama of the past studied. And the one that we'll be studying is called Al-Ajrumiyyah. Everybody say? Al-Ajrumiyyah. And this text, Al-Ajrumiyyah, like I said, it's a classic. It's a classic beginner text. I say beginner text, but in actuality, it's pretty much all the basic person needs in knowing, right? Knowing about grammar and sarf. Also mixed in here, we'll be doing a little of bina. Everybody say bina. This is in the science of sarf. What does sarf mean? Etymology. What does sarf mean? I can't, not anthropology. What does sarf mean? What does etymology mean? Don't whisper.
To break down the word, where it comes from.
To break down the word, to be able to tell what that word is. Like this word, if we go in Arabic, we say ismun. Okay? The word ismun. What does that word mean? Some people say it comes from the word samawat. And that's the same word as samawati or sama, the sky. And they say al-ismun bisumuwiha, because the ismun is the best. This is the superior word out of the three that we just named. The ismun, the fi'lun, and the harfun. I went at it backwards to give you the easiest one first. The fi'lun is the weakest of them. Why? Why is that? You guys have to tell me. What is a fi'lun? It is a word. Repeat it with me. It is a word that points to a meaning in some other word. And it's not connected to a time frame. So it has no strength by itself. You can't make a sentence with a harf. Right? Can I say under? Under, in, from, around, behind, on top? That sounds, it's words, but it's not kalam. And that's what we're going to learn right now. What kalam is, speech. Now, in Arabic we're speaking now. A fi'lun is a word that points to a meaning in and of itself and is connected to a time frame. But you can't make a sentence with just a fi'lun. Running, sat, standing. It has no meaning by itself. You need an ismun. But an ismun in Arabic doesn't need a fi'lun. And it doesn't need a harf. Because you can make a sentence. As-sama'u mubin. The day is, the sky is clear. But is implied. You don't put it in there. As-sama'u is a word that points to a meaning in of itself. It's not connected to a time frame. Mubin is a word that points to a meaning in of itself. It's not connected to a time frame. Two ismun, but you have a full sentence. Do you understand why ismun is the most powerful of them? But if we do etymology, we find that ismun is from sumuwiha, from its loftiness, because it comes from the word sky. Do you understand? So knowing what sarf is, and bina is a classical text that teaches us the 36, excuse me?
Shapes of Arabic.
Shapes. We're going to call them shapes, right? But actually it's called scales. We call them scales, but they're actually shapes of the words. And each one of these scales, the scale in and of itself has a meaning. Right? So we know that just from the scale, what that word is connotating. And like I said, all this just surrounds the words, but we're going to get to it right now. Could you take the board off for me? Thank you. إن الكلام عندنا فلتستمع لفظ مركب مفيد قد وضع أقسامها التي عليها يبنى take all that off اسم وفعل ثم حرف معنى say إن الكلام you have to open your mouths إن الكلام عندنا if I these are my ishara, these are my my lesson helpers, so you do the same thing. Just like your children. We're now all children again. Okay? I know we want that. We're not all children. We're going to do this hand movement so it helps you remember. Innal kalama indana. Everybody point to themselves. Indana faltastami. Who cannot read in Arabic? 1, 2, 3. So then we're going to learn this through listening. Okay? You don't have to learn you don't have to know how to read to learn. But you will learn how to read. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the first thing Allah sent down, what was it? What was it? What was it? What does that mean? Read. And the Prophet ﷺ said, the worst person on Yawm al-Qiyamah is going to be the one who died, who got killed fighting a prophet or who killed a prophet, right? Here's what the Prophet ﷺ said. But the people who fought the prophet in Badr, he let them go. He ransomed them off if they did what? If they taught 10 Muslims how to read. The ulama used this to show the importance, the gravity of reading. There is no excuse for an intelligent person not to know how to read Arabic. None. If there was something that was going to burn your house down, if you didn't learn how to do it, you'd learn how to do it immediately. But because we don't see it right in front of us, we tasweef, we put it off. We put it off. So let's not let the dunya deceive us. And we're going to learn how to read right now. But here, we're going to learn how to listen first. Say, inna al-kalama عندنا فلتستمع let me go on. عندنا فلتستمع. Okay? Erase this, please, too.
I have a question of this.
Sure.
I see the
I did that on purpose. Like I said, we're teaching you Arabic. We're teaching you Arabic, original Arabic. In the original, the first harakat, or the dots and diacritical marks, I should say, that came on the alphabet, when you wrote fat, it came on the bottom. Then after time, they put it on the top. I don't want us to be pigeonholed. I don't want us to be bigots. I don't want us to see, I can't see it except for this way. That's one of the problems of the modern day times right now. If someone doesn't look exactly like I expect them to be, or say exactly what I want to say, we throw them out the window. The flavor of Islam is leaving. And it's because of ignorance. If someone stands in salah and he says, Maliki Yawmiddin, somebody might grab him and yoke him out and punch him, says, you messed up the Quran, you're supposed to say Maliki Yawmiddin. But both are correct, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so fa, he's pointing to this letter right here. He says, we put a dot on the bottom of it. You could put a dot on the bottom of it, or you could put a dot on the top of it. Just like that. Both are correct. If you want to know which one is the oldest, this is the oldest.
What is down, right?
The one on the top is the oldest one. So those people say, no, well, this is strange. No, this is the new one. This is the older one, the original one. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
Does the dot change the meaning?
No, it doesn't. Does the dot change the meaning is the question. No, the dot does not change the meaning. Very good question. Okay? So what we are doing by learning Arabic, we're learning everything we need to know about Arabic. Okay? So, إن الكلام عندنا فلتستمع. Again. Inna is a word. Now we're going to go through this real slow. Inna is a word that goes like this, that means emphasis. Go like this. Inna.
Inna.
Go like this. Inna.
Inna.
That's what inna means. It has no real meaning in English because English is too weak to represent a word in and of itself to say inna. But inna emphasizes a point. When put before a sentence, it makes that sentence a verifiable fact. When you say inna, and sometimes it can be translated as the fact of the matter is, but that doesn't go with the uslub. That doesn't go with the style of speaking that people have. But that's what it literally means. So say inna with some emphasis. Inna. Inna. Now this is what we said. We said emphasis, right? Emphasizes. I don't know if I spelled this right. Emphasizes the point. Okay, that's what inna means, okay? It makes a normal sentence a verifiable fact. That's what it does. What does it do to a normal sentence?
Makes it a verifiable fact.
A verified. Say it with some confidence. Words bring meaning. Words are labels. They attach themselves to emotions and feelings, and so you must speak with feeling and emotion in order to give that word its right. إن الكلام عندنا فلتستمع. فلتستمع. So al is the next word. Al means the. Everybody say al. Everybody speaks Spanish here. This is America, especially in New York. I think it's the most spoken language here in New York. Well, now African language is the second most spoken languages in New York. But Spanish is spoken a lot in New York. Everybody knows how to say el, right? What does el mean? The in Spanish, right? Where did it come from? It came from the Arabic. Why? Because the Muslims ruled Spain for over 800 years. And they brought their language with them. Right? And so el stayed, as along with a lot of other words. So it still means the same thing. The. Okay? The next to the word is kalam. Okay? I'm sorry. Let me do it like this. Kalam. Everybody say kalam. Kalam. This word kalam is important for us to understand really kalam. Kalam is from the word kalima. Say kalima. Do we know what kalima means?
It's the same. The word. Or
We say, okay, so kalam is speech. Everybody say speech. But I'm giving you the derived meaning. I'm going to give you the original meaning. Okay? So we say kalam, we say kilam. You can say kilam, say kilam. Or kalam. But don't say kulam. Kulam is a hard earth. Okay? But kilam and kalam is speech. It's the plural of the word kalima. Kalima literally means a word. Right? I'm sorry, it doesn't literally mean a word. We say literally means words. Kalima literally means on lafdun dhat al-ma'na. The word kalima is a sound that you spit off your tongue that has a meaning. That's what kalima means. A sound. Say it. That you spit off your tongue that possesses a meaning. Very important what I'm saying here, because that's what a kalima is. And that's what kalam is. The important part is that it's off your tongue. What's the important part?
It's off your tongue.
What's the important part?
It's off your tongue.
Why is that? The reason being that animals make sounds through their throat. Okay? Animals make sounds where? Through their throat. So only the humans and the jinns use their tongue. So we've kicked out, nukhriju, we throw out everything that's not a human or a jinn. So we're only talking about humans. Right now we only see humans here, inshallah. So it's only the humans that talk off the tongue. We're not talking about animals. What does it call it, that bird, the parrot? He's not making tongue sounds. He's making vocalizations from his throat. Or when they say the dolphin or the whale, these are sounds that come from their throat. It's not speech. Speech is off the tongue. It's something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allam al-insan. And not anything else that Allah say that, right? So, al-kalima is a sound that you spit off your tongue that possesses a meaning. Lafzatun dhatul ma'na. Okay? So a sound that has a meaning. So, innal kalam indana. Say, indana. This means according to us. And you notice I overline, I don't underline. We learn that from reading the Quran. Whenever there's an important thing, like an ayah of sujood, it's overlined. The underlining is from the kafir. And the Prophet ﷺ said, Khaliful Yahudu wa Nasar. Be different from them. So we see in the Masahif, we overline. Salaamu alaykum wa rahmatullah. So according to us, who is us? Who are we? Who's the us here? The us here are the scholars of grammar. Who are these scholars? The scholars of who?
Grammar.
The grammarians, the scholars of grammar. What we throw out, because every time we include, we exclude. We're excluding anybody from the scholars of Tawheed who say that kalam is the speech of Allah and it's not created. We're not negating their statement, but we're not talking about that right now. Do you understand? We're not talking about those linguistic people, those people of linguistics who say anything that you can understand, this is speech. Like they said, Shakka alayya ibli tula surah, mahlan ruwaydin fakilana mubtala. It says, so my camel debated with me, argued with me, complained to me about the long night travel. So I said, mahlan ruwaydin fakilana mubtala. I said, take it easy. Both of us are being tested. But did the camel actually speak to him? No. It didn't speak to him, but he understood through the actions of the camel that the camel was tired. Right? So we're not talking about anybody else, what they define speech as. We're only talking about here the scholars of grammar. Do you understand that? Yes. So that's what we mean. And we're not talking about ishara. This we say, what does this mean? Hi or bye, right? Come here and shush. We're not talking about that. That's not speech according to us. Okay? We're not talking about that type of speech. We're only talking about speech according to the people of grammar. And it surrounds 3 words. What are those 3 words? You better know, this is your life. Ismun, fi'lun, and harfun. So it says, Innal kalam, if I say it, you say it. Innal kalama indana faltastami. The first thing here is fa. Okay? Fa. See, I put the dot on top for you, akhi. The fa is a jawab, it's an answer to this. It's as if the sheikh is saying, if you want to know what speech is, according to the people of grammar, fa, then, okay, then you have to do something. The lam here, this lam, we call it lamul amr, which means the lam that means an order. It's an order in here. So it means let them, let him or them, let that other person. So if you want to know, then what you have to do is istami'. Yeah, the ta here, the ta in front of the word means you. What does ta in front of the word mean?
You.
You. So then it says the rest of the word is istima. Istima. Say that.
Istima.
The ista, the seen, ta, I put this here just to pronounce it. Ista in front of a word means to seek. To seek something. Like when we say astaghfirullah. What am I seeking? I'm speaking the ghafara of Allah, right? So I said astaghfirullah. And the rest of the word, istami', is from sin mim ayn, which means to hear. When you change it to istami', to seek to hear, it means to listen. Okay? So it says, basically, so then listen. Then let him listen. Meaning, let him pay attention. Listening is more intense than hearing. Don't you understand that? So we just broke this down to say, if you want to know what kalam is, if you want to know what speech is, according to the scholars of grammar, then listen up. We're going to break it down. Word for word, piece by piece. You have to listen. You have to pay attention. إِنَّ الْكَلَامَ عِنْدَنَا فَلْتَسْتَمِعْ. Say it. Say it like you mean it. إِنَّ الْكَلَامَ عِنْدَنَا فَلْتَسْتَمِعْ. Okay, we're erasing the boards. Everybody finished with that? Okay. Yes, sir. عندنا. Sorry. It's a kasra. Sorry. Subhanallah. Astaghfirullah. It's عندنا. Jazakumullah khair. إن الكلام عندنا فلتستمع. That's what we're going to stop right there. Okay? We're going to hold you out a little bit. Just go little by little, and as you guys get stronger, we'll give you more. إن الكلام عندنا فلتستمع. I'll give you the rest part, but I'm not going to write it down today. لفظ مركب مفيد قد وضع. That's the next part. So you're going to stop right here? Listen, if you want to get this is an easy subject. Very easy subject. But it takes work. You're not going to get it just for free. Nothing for free after you're born, right? So you have to work. And the work that you have to do, it's one class a week. It gives you enough time to go over your notes and look over this stuff. Everybody was saying they want an Arabic class. Arabic comes easy. It's the easiest language in the world. It's so scientific and didactic, it's very hard to get wrong. However, anything new takes some time getting used to it. And you have to put in a little bit of work that it does. إِنَّ الْكَلَامَ عِنْدَنَا فَلْتَسْتَمِعْ لَفْظٌ مُرَكَّبٌ مُفِيدٌ قَدْ وُضِعْ. And the only reason I don't give you that part because I want to explain each word to you. And that's going to take a brief minute. So we'll start off. Next week you're going to have a test on that first part. إِنَّ الْكَلَامَ عِنْدَنَا فَلْتَسْتَمِعْ. And everything I taught you up to the 3 types of words. So I'm gonna ask you, how many sciences are there in the science of Arabic language? There are 13. What are the most important 2? Nahwu wa sarf. What does nahwu mean? What does sarf mean? Nahwu means grammar. Sarf means etymology. What does grammar mean? Grammar means the science through which we recognize and learn what the word means after entering it into a sentence based on its placement and the changes that take place at the end of the words. What is etymology? Etymology is the science through which we know what that word means before entering it into a sentence. The different shapes that it has. Okay? Then we want to know what a ismun, a fi'lun, and a harf is. These types of words. And the 3 types that I mentioned of each one, and the 4 types or 5 types that we mentioned with regards to the ismun, which is a person, place, thing, or description. Okay? And an ism and a fi'lun is the 3 types. Immediate, stand, sit, Then the past tense, sat, stood. And the present tense, standing, sitting. Those 3 types right there. We're trying to get our minds understanding. And then the fi'lun, and then the harfun, the 3 types we talked about. The harf meaning a letter. Take that out your mouth. You only eat food, young man. The harfun, which is a letter. Then the harfun, that is a connector. No, not a connector. That is the letters of ziyada, the extra letters that come with meaning. And the third one, the connectors. And that's what I'm gonna ask you, because you have to become comfortable. You can't learn it all at once, but you can't wait. You have to go over it and talk about it, and we're gonna start using it. Right now, this part is the class is an easy part. We're gonna start with harf. We said we're starting with the harf, and the harf is a letter. The first part is A, the letters, right? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Harf, letters, okay? And I'm going to recite you a little poem. With Bismillah and Hamdulillah, then blessings on the Prophet. I'll have my say with you today concerning orthographics. Descriptions of their numerals, points of articulation. As each one comes and as it does, it has its own sensation. Let me start that on. Let's start that over. With Bismillah, say it. And Hamdulillah. And Hamdulillah. Then blessings. On the Prophet. I'll have my say. With you today. Concerning orthographics. Let's start here. With Bismillah and Hamdulillah, then blessings on the Prophet. I said I'm going to teach you the letters, right? But we start off with the Bismillah. What is the Bismillah? Bismillah means Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. The Arabs love taqsir. They love abbreviation. Right? Did we not teach that before? I'm teaching you a principle. Learn these principles. Don't just hear them. They love abbreviation. Bismillah means Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Hamdulillah. What does that mean? Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. But more importantly, we start off with the Bismillah, and then we say Alhamdulillah, and then here means tarahi. Then means an infisal al-waqt. It means a break after praise, after starting with the Bismillah, and after coming next with the Alhamdulillah. Then we send the salawatullahi wa salamu ala nabiyyina Muhammadin. Then we send the blessings on the Prophet. Then the Shaykh says, I'll have my say with you today concerning orthographics. Ortho, what does ortho mean? Ortho is from the mouth. You go to the orthodontist, right? The ortho is the mouth. And graphics, what is graphics? Images, visual. Images. So orthographics represents the visual images that come out the sounds of your mouth. Okay? The sounds from your mouth. What do we call that? It's just a high-tech word talking about alphabet. Do you understand? Because what is the alphabet? What are the letters? The letters are a visual image, a grapheme, if you would, of the sounds that come out your mouth. For a language to be totally orthographic, there must be a sound. I'm sorry. There must be a grapheme, or rather, I put it in simpler talk, a visual image of every constant sound in that people's use. What I say? I said for a language to be totally orthographic, there has to be a visual image. A visual image representing every constant sound in that language. I'm getting pretty technical with you because I want you to learn. It's not enough to say, this is alif, this is ba. This is the alphabet, just the word in of itself. Orthographics. Erase the board if you have it. If you guys ready? Okay. Visual image of every constant sound. Now we're going to learn something. There are two sounds. There are two types of sounds in every language. There's a constant sound, and then there's a vowel sound. What is it?
Consonants and vowels.
Constant and vowel. The constant sound is the sound that you make like ah. Everybody say ah. I'm sorry, that's incorrect. Astaghfirullah. That's a vowel sound. Say b, t, ch, k, l. All those are constant sounds. Vowel sounds, a, I, u. A, E, no. A, E, U. Ow. A. That's it. Those are the sounds. Those are the vowel sounds. A, I, U. Everybody, which you had a class to learn how to speak, right? A, I, U. A, E, U. Ow. Did I say A? I said A, E, U. That's wrong. E, U. I'm missing something.
I, E, O.
A, E, U. No, I got it right. A, E, U is correct. And ow. Ow. That's it right there. Very simple. Now the consonants, I said, we'll have a date when I was talking about orthographics, right? So in Arabic, you have exactly that. You have a grapheme. You have a letter. Let's say ba. And then you have a vowel sound. That's a. So say a. Ba. You put it together and you make a sound. Ba. Do you understand how that goes? Very simple. And once you learn the vowel sound, it doesn't change and the rule doesn't change. You learn one rule one time. And it's the rule for life. So, I'll have my way say with you today concerning orthographics. But this is like we say, atfal bayan. Okay, after orthographics, what about orthographics we're going to learn? Descriptions of their numerals, points of articulation. As each one comes, and as it does, each has its own sensation. What this is telling you that with regards to orthographics, what you're going to learn about every letter is this, the description of the letter. Description that determines also how it looks when you write it, how to pronounce it, their numerals, the numerals of the letter. Every Arabic letter has a numeric value. What did I just say?
Every Arabic letter has a numeric value.
Since Ba's up there, Ba's numeric value is 2. Okay? If you want to know and learn them, once you learn the alphabet, all you have to do is write it down. Ab, Jad, Ha, Waz, Hut, Tiya, Kaliman, Kaf, Lam, Mim, Nun. And then put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. That's all you do. And then you go all the way through the alphabet, and this is the numeric value for each one of them. But you'll learn it. Don't worry about it right now, but you'll learn it. So that's what he's talking about here. Descriptions of their numerals, points of articulation. What is he talking about, points of articulation? The Arabic word has 2 points of articulation. The first point of articulation is called the makhraj. Everybody say the makhraj. The makhraj is the point where it exits. The place where you are, the way you say that letter. Everybody say la. That's how you exited that letter from your mouth. That's the point of articulation. However, outside of the makhraj, it has its tajweed rule. What did we say? So the tajweed rule is based on the noon. So when the lam comes with a noon, you don't hear the noon anymore. It eats it all up. So we have to learn those two things when it talks about its points of articulation. Its point of articulation from by itself and when it's mixed into a sentence. Don't you know that when we say Ar-Rahman, say it? Ar-Rahman. There's a lam in there? No. Yeah, there's a lam right there, but we don't pronounce it, do we? Yes. We don't say Al-Rahman. Yeah. It's hard even to say on our tongue. So we learn the points of articulation by itself. That's called the makhraj, and with other letters. When it's mixed with other letters. Those are the 2 points of articulation. Does that make sense? Yes. Then it says, as each one comes, as each letter comes, and as it does, each has its own sensation. The beauty of the Quran is that it's a shifa. It's a cure. When you hear it, they call it the high medicine. Just listening to the Quran is ruqya. And it's curing you every day from the ills that we have of the heart and whatnot. So the sensation that he's talking about is the sensation of hearing the proper pronunciation. And if you're not reciting it right, you're not doing it right. Because, you know, وَأَخْذُ بِالتَّجْوِيدِ حَتْمٌ لَازِمٌ. The reciting of the Quran with tajweed, the ruling of it is cut and dry, clear. Because the way that it came down, how we have to take it. Shukran jazeelan. So we have to learn how to pronounce it properly in order for it to have the right effect that it's supposed to have. And this is the first part of this lesson. Next week, we'll start off with the word alphabet. And I'll just give it to you right here as a brief. Alphabet. Everybody say the word. Alphabet. The word alphabet comes from the word alpha, beta. You understand that? They say it comes from the what? Greek and Roman, right? But actually, the alpha beta comes from the Muslims when it said alif, ba, ta. You see that? Yes. So there's no way you can't learn the alphabet right, the Arabic alphabet real easy. Because you know the first 3 letters off the back. Say alpha beta, alphabet, alpha beta, alif and ba and ta. Real easy. Can you forget that? No. Tell me the last state to enter into the Union of America. Come on, all you guys got your citizenship. What? No, not Alaska. Not PR. PR is beat up. They don't got no law. It's not a state. It's just property. Hawaii. Hawaii. Say Hawaii. I'm doing fine. How are you? No. Okay, Hawaii is the word. But also the last 3 letters in the Arabic alphabet, Hawaii was named by the Muslims. All they call Juzul Hawa. Say Juzul Hawa. And it's spelled Ha-wa-ya. Say Ha-wa-ya. Now all you have to do is put a caption that says Ha-wa-ya. You understand? So you know the first 3 from alpha, alif, ba, ta, and the last 3 is Ha-wa-ya. Let me hear it. And for example, all the people who always have a problem with ha, who's always said, which ha is it? I always hear people say, which ha? Everybody say Harry. Everybody know Harry, right? They talk about that character, you know, Harry Potter, right? The magician, right? Say Harry. That's this one. Okay? Say health. That's this one. See, in English, we have 2 has also. We just don't write it down because it's not orthographic like Arabic. Say hat. Say jalapeno. That's the other hat. Okay? But if you say heavy, let's hear you say it. Heavy. Say, I'll stick it with Harry. Harry's a good one. Because it comes from down here. Okay? The other one comes from your mouth. But right now we're dealing with this one. So say Hawaii. Hawaii. Alif ba ta. This is going to be easy, right? Inshallah. Yeah, say it's going to be easy. Jazakumullah khair. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. المؤذن. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.